What's up guys? I'm Kara. Good to see you today. Hope you're doing well. I posted a vlog a few days ago on our Hayes and Kara channel. I posted about communal living and a few of you said that you were really interested in that part of my life. And so I thought that today I would sit down and I would tell you about how I ended up living in a house with 9 people. Most of the time when we tell people how we live, they kind of think we're a little crazy, and that's okay. I think that maybe a few years ago, if somebody had told me that, I probably would have had a lot of questions too. I can hear a crying baby in the background. So I was actually raised as an only child. It was just my mom and me growing up, and so I had kind of no blueprint or idea of what it meant to really live with people. And so when I was growing up, I never would have thought that I would live with a ton of people. I didn't think it was my thing. I lived in an apartment in college with some roommates, and I had to learn, you know, just the normal things of blending in with roommates, but I still very much had my own space. So it wasn't really until I went on a trip around the world with people that I didn't know. At first, I hated it. I thought it was awful because you're traveling with these other people, and not only is it new and you're in a whole new environment with people that you don't even know, but every single night we would sit down and we would just have completely open dialogue about the day. So if somebody saw somebody doing something that rubbed them the wrong way, then they were expected to tell the person about it and not tell anybody else, so that there was no gossip. It was just totally open communication. And I loved the concept. I thought it was really cool, but I was super insecure and had a really hard time because I didn't want people to say hard things to me. But we had somebody on my team that was really passionate about open communication, and I just saw how free he was, how he just did not care what people thought because he wasn't afraid to hear hard things about himself. And I was like, man, I really want to be like that. I was the youngest one on the team. I was the most inexperienced in life on the team. And so every night for 3 months, I got hammered with feedback of you don't do what you say you're gonna do, or how high I thought of myself. And so I just got hard feedback every night, and to the point where I just kind of stopped being afraid of hearing hard things. And that was one of the most freeing experiences of my entire life, was to have people around me that I could trust, that would call things out in me. And I came back to Springfield and I had such a hard time because I had experienced this depth of community and I didn't know how to go back to shallow friendship. I had a really hard time for about a year of just intense loneliness, and nothing would really curb that or satisfy that loneliness in my heart, because I'd kind of caught a glimpse of what was possible and I really wanted it again. And so I met a group of people that were really great. They were doing some really cool ministry stuff in this house, and every Saturday night we'd come together and we'd pray, we'd worship. It was really fun, and I look back on that time in my life really fondly. But there were a lot of just immaturity issues. We were all really young, and so things weren't always handled the best, and a lot of things did go unsaid and people got really hurt, and I was one of them. I left and I was like, you know, I'm just not so sure that life is for me. So I moved back in with my mom and went through another period of pretty intense loneliness. And then I started dipping my toe in the water of community with those same people again. And it ended up being really great, but it still felt like I was missing something. And around that time is when I met Hayes. And he is hands down the most extroverted person I've ever met in my whole life. He just really, really enjoys people in their company, and he's really good at loving people. And so we got together and got married super quickly. Pretty much immediately, we started having people live with us. We had kind of all different walks of life in our home at different times. It was never longer than 6 months. And it was really cool to have someone come under our roof and we would just invite them to be a part of the family. We ended up going through a pretty intense season of pain, but we lost a lot of friends, and it was really painful and really hard. And we felt pretty isolated, and our dreams had been crushed. Not to sound too dramatic, but it was true. And all the things that we had poured our life into for years had just kind of gotten ripped out from under us. Then enter Trace and Monica. They basically came to us and said, we don't care what happened, we don't care what seasons look like, we are here for you, we want to be your friends. And so in a time when pretty much everyone walked away, they came in, and it was one of the more powerful experiences of my life, is have someone choose to be close to you when you kind of require the most effort. Took a lot of cultivation to kind of get to the place where it was wow, we really enjoy each other. It was a very conscious effort. It didn't come super naturally at first. And then Drace was about to graduate college, and they were living in student housing at the time, and they didn't know where they were going to go after college. And so the plan initially was that they were just going to come and stay in our house until they could get something more permanent set up. So I was driving down the road one day, and I saw that the house that I had lived in with that group, I saw that that house was up for rent. Something inside of me just came alive and was like, what a cool opportunity to redeem a place that hurt me, revive something and make something new, and kind of like fix what went wrong by loving each other and honoring each other and like stewarding the place well and making it a home. I came back home and I told Monica and Drace and Hayes, and I said, hey, I don't know if there's any validity to this, but this is where I'm at. What if instead of you moving into our house, we go and create a home together? And we all felt like that was the right thing to do. Like that was a path that we really wanted to explore and take and figure out what that looked like together. And so we got the house and we moved in June of last year, and we just started the process of making a life together. And it was really important to us that we weren't just roommates, but that we were family. At first it was kind of an interesting transition because, I mean, you're used to doing things your way. And so then they have a kid, we have kids, and it's like Monica and I had to learn how to make a home together. And that was, I don't know, it was just really special. So we moved into the house. And about, I don't know, like a few months later, our friend was in town and he came and visited us, and he was going through a really hard time in his life, and we extended the invite. We're like, we got an extra room. There's 5 rooms in this house and we have an extra one if you want it. And he said, yeah, let's do this. And so he moved in. It was a really precious time, I feel like, of bonding and hope and healing and growth, not just for him, but for all of us. And then, you know, he started to heal, and it very much felt like he was on a different trajectory maybe than like we were with the Mullers. He was kind of preparing to move on and move out, and we were exploring different options of what our future looked like with Monica and Drace. Now, as of a few weeks ago, Michael actually got married to a girl named Becca. And right before they got married, he sat us down and he was like, you know, I haven't really been all in on this communal living thing, but I'm in. And like Becca wants in too. They are now married and they both live with us, and we're transitioning into that and figuring out what it looks like to go from like just us and the Mullers in this thing to all of a sudden like us, the Mullers, and another couple. And we are moving next door. The house next door is bigger. So on a more like basic level, we split groceries. We like go grocery shopping together. We split groceries. We make a lot of meals together. We split all the bills. We're all on the same phone plan. Like it really is like a merging of your lives with other people. Everyone has to be really committed to their growth and really committed to loving and being loved, or the whole thing kind of crumbles. It falls apart. And we're all very honest. If something rubs us the wrong way, or if something tries to rob that peace from us, we're very intentional of like putting it on the table in a very vulnerable way. That is the only way that communal living has worked for us. And at first it's like you want to hide and you're like, oh gosh, I feel so embarrassed. But as you start to own them and then you start to overcome them, you start to see like, wow, I'm actually a really resilient person. I've never believed that about myself before, but I am. I can do this. I can do this. And it is weird. It's weird to know where you fit, and it's weird to know like what your place is and what the dynamic is supposed to be. But if you're committed to exploring it, then it really is. It's like the most fulfilling thing I've ever done. So this is the first vlog kind of in like the communal living series. I have some other ideas of how we're going to do this. If you have any questions about the logistics of communal living, or if there's any specific aspects of it that you're like, how in the world does that work? I would love to talk about it. This was a very brief overview of communal living. So anyway, thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you like want to. I cannot wait to dive into this thing with you guys. Just thanks for being a part of all of it. It means a lot to me. And I hope you're doing well during this whole coronavirus thing, and I hope that you don't feel lonely, and I hope that you know that you're enough and you're able. And as always, remember that your story matters. So let's make it a good one.